Hey, good day everyone. I'm Reign of Tears, and here's another one of my Tangentially speaking. This one I'm going to just in a very general but a very pondering, generalized pondering sense, just wonder, or sometimes I wonder why the animosity and hatred for foundational Black Americans, in my view, formerly known as African Americans, aka descendants of slaves uh, in the United States. I go with the foundational Black Americans. Now, obviously, you know, from history, most people, especially in the United States, obviously know that because of the remnants of slavery, that uh, foundational Black Americans were looked upon as being inferior. This is done was for political reasons and social reasons to keep people relegated. That being, foundational Black Americans relegated at the bottom to have a low self-image, so they will not, or we would not, try to garner our political strength to move back into the forefront. Because in the days of segregation, when foundational Black Americans like myself were forced to live in communities by ourselves after slavery, the communities flourished. Everybody is familiar with Tulsa. Many people are familiar, particularly in the foundational Black American communities, with Rosewood. But there were hundreds of other communities throughout the United States. All Black or all foundational Black communities that flourished economically, have their own businesses, own entertainment venues, movie theaters, the whole nine, the whole gamut. And that was a good thing because, as I said, because of the we were not integrated into society, we were segregated. We as foundational Black Americans were forced to work with each other, and we worked with each other well, and we flourished. However, every time we got to a point where, we were really doing very well and, could possibly even move to greater stratospheres in terms of the political and social realms, our efforts in those communities were sabotaged. They were sabotaged. And when I say sabotage, I mean they were violently sabotaged by individuals with racist ideologies and attitudes and beliefs. Because one thing that those communities did not have and were not allowed to have was to have a military or police type state to be able to protect themselves. So if you have an economic base and an economic power and a social structure, but you're not able to protect it, they can easily be torn down. And most were torn down for the flimsiest of reasons. The usual trope was one of a sexual one, and that, to be blunt about it, all individuals that had, and these individuals were Caucasian, that had racist ideology, all they had to say is that some variation of is that this Black person, and that's not the word that they used, obviously, but I'll just, anyway, this Black individual whistled at this white woman or looked at this white woman, or just a variation that, the deal. Most people that are honest, if they're non-foundational Black American, or you've read or you've heard about that, and then that was that. And it was no court of law, so to speak. Well, there was, but many times justice was taken, or most times I would say justice was taken into their own hands, literally, savagely killing foundational Black American men and women. I'm not going to go into that aspect of it. If people choose to do so that are non-foundational Black American, you can do that. If you're immigrants to the country, or second generation, first generation, or whatever, with the advent of the media, of the internet, you can just Google so much information to find out if you choose to do so. So, we were troped as the stereotypes or whatever, but in many cases, let's just go with the GIs. And again, this is tangentially speaking. So that's why I'm tangentially going all over the place. But we can go with the military aspect of it. Foundational Black Americans, our ancestors fought in every war in the United States. We were the foundation. That's why, and credit goes to Tariq Nasheed, political activist. I can't say enough about how much credit I give to that man. But anyway, he coined the phrase "foundational Black American," and as he always says, we were and we are the foundation of this country. There's so many mistruths or whatever, like the railroads. I mean, foundational Black Americans built most of the railroads. It was not people of Chinese descent. Individuals, they built the Western Pacific, that aspect of it, but most of the 3/4 of the other railroad had already been built up by foundational Black American men. So, like I say, so many stereotypes. And, when people come to this country, immigrants, so many are just willing to just believe the tropes about, the negative tropes about foundational Black Americans. Some for their own political gain. Not all. I have to say that, it's not all with anything. In terms of going with things, even though respectively where many non-white immigrants came from, they were abused by white colonial forces. Then you come to the United States and do the same types of thing. I guess it's in some ways it's human nature. Dog eat dog or whatever, I can go into India, and I have great respect for Indian people, people of East Indian heritage, whether you be Hindu, Tamil, Dravidian, etc. But still, I hate to say it, when I'm doing my tangentials, I'm perfectly blunt. Many times, or in some cases, the darkest person of Indian descent can have the most hatred for a foundational Black American. I've seen that. I hate to say that, but that is true. In terms of the hatred and the racism shown, even though, and I don't need again to tell people of East Indian descent, what the British did to their country before they became an independent country. I'm talking about India. I could talk about Sri Lanka. I could talk about Pakistan, all those areas. Go there, and we're not going to just leave out our so-called brothers of African descent from Africa, from some of the various countries. I'm not going to go into that. Online, there's so much stuff, and other new Black media, as they call it, have gone into length about the types of things that have been negative tropes that people of different African countries in particular. And again, let me preface by saying not all. I'm not saying all. I'm not even saying most. But if we're going to be honest, we know that there are some people, particularly people of the older generation, that have these views. People of Nigerian and Ethiopian, and to a slightly lesser extent, Somalians, they come here and they look down upon foundational Black Americans. So again, I guess the basic tangential thing is that, foundational Black Americans haven't dropped any bombs on anybody. Don't have the ability to do that anyway. They have not overtly discriminated as a whole, as a group, against any group in the United States, whether they're white or non-white. Yet we get the blunt of all the, what we're, the scary boogermen or whatever, that's thrust upon foundational Black Americans. And, it's, it sickens me and it angers me, so that's why I had to do a tangentially speaking on this. Hopefully, my thoughts were free flowing, but I think everybody got the drift. So if you have, feedback that you want to add to that, or if you have a different take on that, and if you're Latino or East Indian heritage or of Asian heritage, and you disagree with this, you can feel free to provide your feedback also. So again, this is Tangentially Speaking. I appreciate you taking the time to take a listen and a view. Greatly appreciate it, and I wish you the best of luck. Take care and have a good life. Until I talk with you the next time. See you later.